Hi, this is Hilma Volk, and I'm going to talk about thumb pain and wrist pain and other pain, primarily caused by tablets and small computing devices like this, iPads, but it's not limited to just people who use those devices. Also thumb pain and hand pain from people who consistently do a lot of things with their hands in the way of gripping or using pruning shears or having hand motions that do a lot of that, or like this, or swimming with your hands in like this as opposed to having a straight hand. So it's not just limited to problems with the hands related to these things, but the problems with iPads and everything that resembles them, and including smartphones, has been growing in an increased number because there's millions. There's 125 million just iPads alone in the world, and that was the last statistic I heard. I'm sure there's way more than that now, plus the number of Androids, which this is one. Just more and more people are getting them for themselves and their children. And there are terms like iPad neck, iPad shoulder, text neck, text thumb. That BlackBerry thumb has been around for a long time. Of course, the carpal tunnel, and now the iPad hand, and iPad thumb, iThumb, and all kinds of terms that I did not coin myself, but you see them increasingly on blogs and forums. And so what can you do about them? Now, before I get into techniques, this video is just going to be kind of the why of everything, but don't skip over this because there's a lot of things that you need to either be refamiliarizing with yourself or getting an aha moment as to why these things are happening. Now, I'm going to talk about injury. Now, when you think of injury, most people think of falling out of a tree or getting hit by a baseball or falling down the steps, and that's sudden trauma, meaning it happens once, it doesn't keep happening, and the effects can linger a week, a day, a month, a year, or in some cases, the effects last the rest of your life. Now, when you come to small computing devices, you're talking about one of two things, usually repetitive stress or repetitive strain, whichever you want to call it, and cumulative trauma, cumulative, if I can say it right, which means if you're holding a phone like this, you're a secretary holding, the phones that, if you still know what a phone is, in talking and doing things, if you're writing down things or using a computer, talking on the phone, you can do that a lot, but eventually that's going to cause a lot of problems with your neck and shoulders and headaches. And that's cumulative. And it's not something that the brain relates to very easily, because you wake up and your shoulder hurts and you've got a headache, and what's the first thing you think? I must have slept wrong. So what do? You get new pillows, you get new mattress, and for a while that helps, but because you keep doing the same thing, the muscles get imbalanced. And let's relate that more to headaches and neck pain with computers like the tablets, where people are always looking down, particularly looking down lower. You can do this without any pain, but it builds up slowly. Eventually, because these muscles in the back are fighting gravity and the muscles in the front are not moving back, the muscles in the front tend to shorten, the muscles in the back tend to get stuck in a lengthened position. That leads to forward heads, headaches, rounded shoulders, eventually back pain, and the head forward can lead to nerve impingement, breathing problems. The back pain can really lead to digestive problems, and on and on and on, until you roll into a ball looking like these little old ladies in a nursing home, and then you die. Well, I'll be talking about those things in another video, but right now I'm talking about the causes of thumb pain. The fingers are a very different animal than the thumb. When you're typing or gripping with the fingers, that's all being done by forearm muscles. If you do, move your fingers apart, that's done by fingers movement in the hands, but the majority of the muscles is forearm. The thumb's a different story. There's some thumb movement that's done by the forearms, but the majority is done by this thick muscle here. And the thumb is not just the part that sticks out when you're hitchhiking or doing a thumbs up. There's a big thick muscle here, and just you feel yourself just gently squeeze that muscle and move your thumb across towards the bottom of your pinky and feel how much power there is in this muscle. There's a lot of power in this muscle, even though you're not doing anything, you're just moving it. And this muscle was never ever intended for repetitive use like texting. And the accumulation of the muscle being used so much generates heat in a muscle. Now, whether you're gripping an iPad or a tablet with one thumb, it doesn't look like you're doing anything. But there's a lot of use in that muscle. That muscle is working to hold that tablet there. And as it does that, it gets fatigued. What happens is people start to complain that their thumb hurts. They feel a thickness in the thumb, they feel knots in the thumb, lumps, and what those lumps are is muscle fibers starting to stick together. Well, they've already stuck together. And why do they stick together? Just like knots in the neck, especially, or anywhere else, when a muscle is being used, it generates heat. It generates heat whether it's moving or staying stationary and gripping. It's generating heat. And if you have the flu and your temperature rises above a certain level, your body is not happy about that. So what happens when you overuse any muscle? Fluid comes in to help cool that out. And when the fluid leaves, when the muscles cool down, there's a little tiny bit of residue that's left. And it's like a glue. And it's in between little muscle fibers, and if that builds up, it may be in between groups of muscle fibers, or even between little bundles of muscle fibers. And what happens is that shortens the muscle. Because normally muscle fibers can move back and forth a little bit between each other, but when some get stuck, the muscle can't stretch in that particular spot, so the muscle in general becomes shorter. Okay, you got a shorter muscle, it's got knots in it, it starts to hurt, but before it starts to hurt, the problem is there. Because whether it's a neck problem or a thumb problem or any other problem in your body, there's a subliminal level of pain where the pain is building up, but you don't know it. It's underneath the radar, and probably it's a good thing, because if you felt all these pains, you wouldn't be able to function. But it'll reach a certain level and you go, oh, why does my thumb hurt? And because it's not an instantaneous thing that's built up over a period of time, your brain may not relate right away as to why your thumb hurts. For example, if you hit your thumb with a hammer, brain knows thumb got hit by hammer, hammer hurt. There's not a direct association. And you may say, well, it couldn't be from the tablet because I haven't used this tablet in 4 days. Why does my thumb hurt? Well, things accumulate. And you may put down the tablet for a week, but because you've been using it, as soon as you pick it up again, oh, my thumb hurts again. Why? You know, I've been resting it for 2 days. Well, you haven't eliminated the short thumb problem. And when the muscles in the thumb are shortened, they pull on the tendons that attach the muscle to the bone. And they also, when you're moving your thumb across, they're also pulling on your wrist bones. So, shortened thumb, wrist pain, and you may feel the pain in the wrist before you feel the pain in the thumb, or vice versa, but how you deal with these things are the same thing. And texting is using different parts of the muscle than holding it with one hand, but the results are basically the same. And so, in the next video, I'm going to show some things that you can do both with accessories and to your body to help get rid of the thumb pain you already have, prevent it from coming, and prevent you from being crippled either by the wrist pain you already have. And I just might mention something too. I was going through a lot of blogs and comments that people are making, and I was very surprised not by the amount of thumb pain or wrist pain on the side of the thumb, but also that people were getting a lot of wrist pain on the little finger side. And I'm thinking, why? Well, you also have an opposable pinky and muscles here on this side, the little finger side, that are also involved with moving your little finger across your hand. And these muscles, same thing. They get shorter, and they also pull on the tendons of the wrist. And when you're moving your hand across, you're not so much feeling the muscle in the base of the pinky as you may be feeling the wrist bones moving inward. So you've got the whammy of your thumb moving the wrist in, or the little finger moving your wrist in. Now, I was trying to figure out why people were having pinky problems, or wrist problems on the side of the pinky, and some people may be holding the tablet with the little finger underneath. They may be the 3 fingers in the back, may be holding it, and you've got a little finger underneath curled up and in. For various reasons, anytime you're bringing the little finger in, cumulative trauma, which may not show up for weeks or days or months or years, the continued effect of that little finger coming in leads to eventual wrist pain on that side. So again, in the next video, I'm going to address those problems and what you can do about it, what you can do to prevent it from keep happening, and I'll see you in the next video.